Welcome back to Everything Whiskey. I'm Callum,
I'm Sam.
and today we're reviewing the Australian NED Whisky.
Alrighty, today we're doing NED Whisky. This is on our side of the waters. This is from Melbourne, where we live in Victoria. I don't know about this one. This is a weird one. I want to love it because it's Australian, but from the notes I've been getting, I'm a little bit iffy on it. It's a bit strange.
It's a very odd whiskey, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 40%. It's not a single malt, or it's not. They've described it strangely. They've said it's their grain. They've got. All right, I'll read it. We select only the finest Australian grain to mash and ferment using a proprietary process. So I'm not sure how they make a mash bill a proprietary process. So I'm not quite sure what they're doing. They're not disclosing that. But they claim to be taking the best part of single malt production and combining it with sour mash techniques. I've also sour mash. It's interesting sour mash, but it's reusing it over and over again. The mash left over after you strip it and stuff. But I don't know what they're talking about with proprietary techniques. It seems like crap, but we'll see. They also do, I feel like, too much to it. It starts in what is it? Second fill oak. Then it goes into new heavily charred oak. Then it goes into a charcoal filtering process for smoothness, meaning taking out flavor, because that's what it does. Then it's transferred into a large European oak vat for final blending and consistency. It's a lot, I think, deliberately, because it's fancy, but it does nothing for a really complex experience. And even at the end of their little spiel where they're telling you how amazing it is, it says for best results, it's shines being mixed, stirred, and sometimes even shaken. It doesn't even mention drinking it straight.
We have jumped into some reviews of this whiskey.
Oh, yeah, that is very funny.
Beforehand, and there's some mixed reviews. All the reviews that were really positive say that it's great for mixing, which matches up with what Sam said.
Yeah.
And the other ones are basically disagreeing with what everyone else said. Is not a very good whiskey straight. Overpriced. I'd rather just buy a nice Scotch.
$60, by the way.
Something like, it's 60 Australian bucks, which is on the more expensive side. Especially for, I mean, it's cheap for Australian whiskey, but it's cheap on the side of other whiskeys around this level.
I feel like 60 is fine, but it's definitely not cheap if you're literally buying it to mix it. I don't know why you'd buy it to mix it when you've got cheaper whiskeys.
Like Canadian Club and Johnny Reb, like 40 bucks.
Jim Beam is only like 45.
Just quickly, I work in a bottle shop, and we've recently got this in. This is where I got it from work. But also we got in pre-mixed Neds, which is with Coke. And normally that doesn't happen at all. Like normally there's like no Australian premixes because they're all so small and so
it's
like boutique and craft. They don't
and expensive. And they don't want to be known as a mixing whiskey. They want to be known as a more sophisticated kind of drink. But these guys look like they're going just that route of mass market, maximum money.
Premixed. It looks like they're wanting to be a premixed whiskey so they can reach the masses of the market.
It's a good idea for Australia breaking it. It's a good idea to break into that market as an Australian whiskey, though, because I don't think I've ever heard of an Australian whiskey premix ever. Is there any? Have you seen?
No, there's none.
I don't think I've ever seen it before. So if there's a hole in that market, if they can fill that.
It's only the really big brands. So on the nose, you can just smell it's a very thin whiskey. There's not all that much going on. You get a little bit of these floral notes. But I mean, they don't really stand out against anything. It kind of smells like a vodka, like a flavored vodka, if that makes any sense. Like everything's just very thin. There's a bit of alcohol burn on it.
It's really like white chocolatey. No, it's like cream and like pretty heavy chocolate, like cocoa and
Yeah, I get that. Cream
And
and cocoa, yeah.
really creamy, full cream milk cocoa or something. It's quite chocolatey on the smell, like cedar woods.
Yeah?
I got like this kind of piney, cedary,
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
kind of just this wood note that isn't oak that don't normally get on whiskey.
If you go deep, there's a very faint raisin note. Like dark
Yeah.
fruit kind of raisin.
It smells like a really like a humorously quintessential white girl American Starbucks coffee order. Smells like a mocha. It smells like a coffee with chocolate and caramel flavoring in it, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like it's a mocha with some like caramel flavor.
Yeah. No. Very thin. Very light floral notes. Nothing really all that special in this whiskey.
It's a shame because the notes that are there faintly are not bad notes, and they would kind of be interesting in a whiskey that you don't often get. Like we were saying before, that kind of like milk chocolate creaminess. It's like cocoa and roasted grains and stuff.
Yeah.
There to give specific notes. And you don't get those too often, especially that really, like, you get chocolate notes and espresso notes occasionally in whiskey, but this is like, again, it's like a Starbucks coffee order. Like it's really sweet and caramel and chocolate and it's, yeah, I don't know. So it would be really nice if this was like I don't know, you'd probably have to crank the proof up really high. It'd probably have to be like a 55.
What is it? 40%. Yeah, 40%.
Right on the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But the notes aren't bad. It is very thin. Yeah.
On the finish, there's a pretty nice raisin note. But I mean, it surely doesn't save the
Dave the raisin.
It definitely doesn't save the whiskey. Yeah, I think we've come to the conclusion that this whiskey was basically designed to be mixed with some other mixer.
Yeah, it was designed to be mixed. Yeah. Which is fine. But it would be nice to kind of see what happens if they do pump out a high proof one or a single malt, or not that single malt is necessarily better, but it might mean that they're kind of required to give it a bit more attention rather than relying on being able to blend out and filter out some flavors that they don't like. So it might mean they have to pay a bit more attention on how the whiskey tastes on its own. But it is what it is. It's not bad.
I'm just looking at the bottle, and I've got bottle number 30,370, and it's still classified as their first batch. I'm just wondering how big they'll make this first batch.
And if they're not independent, which they're probably not, if this is their way of doing things, they probably come from a bigger liquor brand, and it's a big distillery already. They might even sell other liquor and stuff, so they might be well established and have the ability to smash out just this huge run even in their first batch, as you say. So
I mean, there's a few Australian whiskies that are distilled in Melbourne that all come from the same distillery, like Bakery Hill and something else. They run at the same distillery. This might even be at that distillery.
But yeah, that's that. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Cheers.